What's the problem? Let's get rid of some users. I want to see at what point it's actually being added. Let's get rid of everybody. Sign in. I'll just start from the top. Let's sign in as Gmail me. Here we are, looking at the database. What the heck? They're all back because they were all in app state at the time. Okay, let's delete them permanently. Let's log out and then that's a pain in the neck. I'm not going to sync for a minute. Let's get rid of users altogether. And now I'm not syncing it on the front end, so it shouldn't just add them right back. Okay, let's start syncing again. Okay. There is no users endpoint. Hopefully you get some value out of seeing an experienced person troubleshoot something. The approach I take. Gmail. I'm signed in. There's users. There's my user. Let's check out state. Users. Empty. So it syncs long enough to add the dang thing, but then it doesn't stay in state. It doesn't stay there. Syncs it long enough to add it, but then it immediately goes away. Well, that's super gosh darn weird. All this other stuff is in component did mount. We didn't use component will mount in the afternoon class. What if we make it did? The user won't load quite as fast, but let's just do that. Let's do component did mount instead. I did a hard refresh, though. That always did that. Let's sign out. Let's sign in. Now I've got 2 users. But I got my old state with just 1 user. So it, again, synced long enough to add the thing. But then it removed it from the state, went back to the old thing. How on earth did that happen? State had to contain both users long enough for to even get added in Firebase. If it weren't being added in Firebase, this wouldn't be so weird. But the fact that it's being added in Firebase means our state did have that for a moment. And then it went away. Sync states can you have?
Other asynchronous events which happen at the same time is when you log in.
So app, well, main mounts begins syncing a totally different thing. Chat mounts and syncs a different thing. But I have all my rooms. I have my messages, I presume. And if I do refresh, it's fine. Both users are there. But any changes I do without first refreshing do get added, strangely enough, in Firebase. So it doesn't totally stop syncing. It's like it's only syncing in one direction. Right now I've got 2, right? And so since I did I do a hard refresh? I don't remember. What do I have right now? I have 2. Sign out. I'm never unmounting app. I sign in as a third version of me. Let's watch state over here. Let's watch nothing happen. There we go. Let's watch state real carefully. Still just got 2 things in it, but now I've got 3 back here. So it's syncing into one direction, yeah.
So what I did over here is I added a then thing to base.sync state.
Sure.
And then I think it went, well, so then, oh, never mind, this doesn't help, my bad.
Doesn't help. Okay. So it seems to still be syncing. So it's not like we ever ran component did mount again. App never unmounted. So it's not like I ever called sync state again to start syncing. So it's syncing. It's just only syncing in one direction.
It's possible that you're having a race condition with handle off because on-off state change is getting called every time you log in.
Yes.
And do you change the list of users in handle off?
Yes. So what are you saying? Race condition with what? What's the other thing?
Race condition and the background process that's syncing your list of users with Firebase. Because they're both happening asynchronously at roughly the same time.
But changing the state, that's actually called by handle auth. So we don't set state until way down here in handle auth. So handle auth happens first and calls the other one. So it's never, this users never gets updated in state unless it is done by handle auth. So there's never going to be a race condition with handle auth. Handle auth is what causes the other to happen.
Okay.
So state is syncing in one direction only, it looks like. Well, what the crap would that be? And why isn't it happening in any of the other places we do this thing? So if there's a race condition here, I don't understand it. I don't understand what 2 things are racing. So I start syncing first. I could, yeah, okay, I could wait, okay, yeah. I could wait and do this. Okay, a race between sync state and on-off state change, not a race between updating state and, yeah. So we could wait to do on-off state change until after we've started syncing state. But the thing is, when it's not working is when this has already all happened. It's not when the component is mounting. When the component mounts, it works fine because we get both things, but it doesn't continue to sync. I don't know. I'm just going to try moving this into a then here just because nothing else is working. Let me start from scratch again. Let's just get rid of sync state for a moment. Delete all my users. This is probably going to end up being something really stupid, just because that would figure. No users. Sign in as Gmail Dave. And nothing happened. So this doing on-auth state change there seemed to break everything. Not entirely sure why. But that's interesting. The then never ran? As though we never started syncing? What? Oh, there we got a user. Okay, interesting. Sign back out. Don't do any of this. Delete my user. Now, the first thing we start doing is syncing state on users, which isn't going to work if you're not even logged in. Because we can't sync state because that's restricted. You can't read the list of users if you're not signed in. My database rules. For everything, you can only read that if you're signed in. So we could sync this in main when you're guaranteed to be signed in, or we could make just syncing the list of users public. What's the downside of doing it in main? That's not where handle auth happens. And handle auth is when we want it to happen. That is the downside there. It doesn't seem like the best thing in the world to get our list of users when you're not even signed in, but that could probably make this work. Let's go to the docs for authentication real quick. Guides, database rules, I mean. Real-time database. Where are the database rules? Configure Firebase database rules. I want some sample rules here. See that somewhere?
Top paragraph of your screen currently.
This is the one I wanted. Sample rules. So default is this. You can also have certain endpoints. So if you just put a list of endpoints here, then you can set different rules for that. So I could set specific rules for the user's endpoint. So that dot read just true. Always. And we don't need to be able to write it until we're signed in, probably. So let's try that. .write auth not equal null. And I made a mistake. Comma. Before you copy this, let's make sure it actually helps. So I probably made this a little more complicated than it needs to be. I probably don't actually need to do this here. But I wouldn't have figured that out probably if I hadn't tried it that way. Okay, let's see what happens now. What do we have in our database? Okay, we're back to having no users at all. Now let's sign in. As me, Gmail me. Here's users. There he is. Let's look at app, users. There he is. So far, I think this is working better than it did. Sign in as the other me. There we go. Now they're both there. It was a database rules issue. Yep, database rules. Good times. So what were we trying to do?